All right, Unit 3, Quiz 5, last quiz for this exam. So, this is an arrangement of sodium and chlorine atoms. What does sodium and chlorine make? What does it make? Sodium chloride, which is what? Salt, table salt. And salt is a crystal. Okay, when salt comes together, they form crystals. So what is the best description of a crystal? A random arrangement, a dissociation pattern, a non-crystal arrangement, or a regular repeating pattern? What do you think? Regular repeating pattern. Okay, so we're going to go over crystals a little bit more today. But remember, a crystal is made from ionic bonds in regular repeating patterns. Okay, so crystals are made from ionic bonds in regular repeating patterns. Okay, that's going to be very important for the exam, or at least a couple questions. Next, a good Unit 1 question. A family leaves home, who cares, right? We don't care. Where do we go in a question like this? Where do we go? Straight to the end. Good. It says, how far did they travel? So what kind of question is how far? What are we asking? How far? Distance, right? And what does distance equal? S times T. Remember, distance is the only one, is an equation that all you have to do is say distance, but stop after the T. Dist, right? DST, dist. And you have the equation, DST. So we have to look for a speed. Does anybody see a speed up on the board? Yes, 80 kilometers per hour. Does anybody see a time? There's really no time, but there is an interval. So how much time has passed between 8 and 9:30? 1 hour and 30 minutes. But we can't use minutes. We have to use hours. So how would we write that in just hours? 1.5. So 80 times 1.5 hours. Well, we know 80 times 1 has to at least be 80. So A is wrong. Okay, so what is 80 times 1.5? What's 80 times 1.5? 120. 120. So there's your answer, 120. So we have a graph. Graph represents blah, 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 blah. Who cares? We go straight to the question. What's the average speed? Which dot do we look at on a graph when I ask for average speed? Who remembers which dot we look at? Which dot? The last one. We go straight to the last dot. And remember, speed equals distance over time. So the distance was 20. And the time is 40. Now, what's 20 divided by 40? And don't say 2, please. That's 40 divided by 20. What's 20 divided by 40? 0.5. That's the only decimal one up there, so you really didn't need to even do the math. As long as you know it's little divided by big, you know it's going to be less than 1. Okay, please don't put 40. Now, right away, which two answers could we have crossed off since it was a speed problem? What could we have crossed off? We could have crossed off A, because that is a distance. And we could cross off B, because that's a speed. All right, good. Next. Which of the molecules below can be described as a compound? Compound. Oh, sorry, an element rather than a compound. Remember, the definition of a compound, 2 or more elements. So let's count. Does water have 2 or more elements? Yes, it has H and O. Does carbon dioxide have 2 or more elements? Yes, it has C and O. Does hydrogen peroxide have 2 or more elements? Yes, right there. So this is the only one that would be considered not a compound. Now look, this is H2O, and this is HO, normally written down as H2O2. It only has one, it has one less hydrogen and one more oxygen. It's almost like water, but is it good enough to drink? No, you'll die with that, right? That's hydrogen peroxide. So it shows that even one element difference can make a huge difference when it comes to the properties of your compound. This one everybody should get right off the bat. It was a pretty good answer. A new element will form if you change this. A new element will form if you change this. A proton. Yes. What happens if you have the same element with different numbers of electrons? Like you gain or lose an electron. What do we call that? An ion. What if it's the same element with a different number of neutrons? What do we call that? Isotope. And an ion isn't even a particle, so you just cross that out. Next. Which particle has virtually no mass? It's so tiny that the mass is negligible. It's like a piece of dust on you when you're weighing. It doesn't really matter. What do you think? Electron. And where are electrons located? Where are the electrons located? In the electron cloud. And which is the largest part of an atom? The one that takes up the most space? The electron cloud. That's the largest part, right? So if this entire thing was an atom, that would be the electron cloud, and the nucleus would be about 100 times smaller than that dot I just put on the screen. But where is all the mass located in an atom? Where's all the mass located in an atom? In the nucleus, right? It's funny how the entire atom weighs that dot, and the rest is the big. It's a lot of empty space. Good, we go straight to the end. Density, what's the density? What's the equation for density? Mass over volume. So can anybody find a mass in this question up here? Anybody find a mass? What's the mass? 4G, and how do you know that's the mass? Because it has grams. Grams is the mass, and it doesn't give us a volume, but it does have water that starts at that place and ends up at this place. What do we call that? Displacement. And how much did it displace? 2. So what's 4 divided by 2? 2. So C is your answer. C is your answer. All right, next. Which statement best describes an atom? Now remember, best means there could be 2 good answers, but one answer is the best. So which answer up here is the best answer that we can use? C. It's found a charged cloud surrounding the center, right? Even better would be electron cloud, but C is the best answer. Now, these problems, people are having a difficult time answering still. This was one of the lowest scoring questions on this quiz. If I have 14 electrons and 13 protons, what is its ionic charge? If I have 13 protons and 14 electrons, what is its ionic charge? Let me show you the easiest way to answer this. Okay, let's pretend that this is a baseball game. And protons are a team, and electrons are a team. And this is the score. And just like the Giants, they have a symbol for them, right? The San Francisco Giants, it's written as SF. Well, protons, they have a symbol, and it's called plus. So whenever we go plus, that means the protons are winning. The electrons have a symbol, just like the Dodgers have a symbol, right? The electrons have a symbol, and their symbol is negative. So all you do is treat it like a baseball game. So using the symbol, who's winning this game? The electrons. So we're going to write their symbol, negative. And how much are they winning by? 1. So that's your charge right there. That's it. That's all you do. If you treat it like a baseball game or a sport and you write down who's winning and by how much, you'll get the answer correct every single time. Okay, we answered this one in our starter today, but in a chemical reaction, a sodium metal and a chlorine gas result in salt, sodium chloride. Does sodium chloride have properties that are similar to sodium? Does it have properties that are similar to chlorine? Properties that are similar to chlorine and sodium, or completely different properties than either of them? What do you think? So the salt you put in your mouth, does it make your mouth explode? No, so it's nothing like the sodium metal. The salt you put in your mouth, does it make you cough up blood like chlorine gas does? No. So is the properties the same or completely different? Completely different, right? Salt is only dangerous if you have high blood pressure or if you're a snail. Then it's pretty dangerous. All right, any questions on those questions? All right, so to be successful on the test, go over the quizzes. And if you notice the questions you got wrong and you know how to do them now, please go over them again so that you can be successful on them next time. All right, so go ahead and take a quick break right now.